Okay, so after a few you didn't really seem to like my last video on the Kemper Power Cabinet, I'm back, and I actually have it this time. I feel like I owe everyone a really comprehensive review, because if I'm being honest, I actually really like this thing. Before we jump in, my name's Daniel McLaughlin. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I talk a ton about guitar tips, gear, music, the like. So the Kemper Power Cabinet is finally here in the United States, and I have it set up right here beside me at my desk with my Kemper stage on top. And off the bat, it solves an issue that I had when I track guitars. Plain and simply, I don't really feel like I'm playing through an amp. And I do feel like that affects my playing, particularly with how I perceive, like, sustain. It's a weird feeling that's a bit hard to describe, but I think it has a lot to do with how I interact with both the guitar and the amp in the room. Because I've had a similar feeling when tracking in studios where I could have a cabinet isolated in another room. So I'm feeling the vibrations of the guitar a lot more, but it's also just sounding a lot more how I like to hear guitar amps, or how I've judged guitar amps throughout my life. Thinking directionally, the guitar amp speakers have always fired at the lower half of my body. So having the sound come out of the studio monitors directly to my ears sounds way different. Kemper has always been a bit weird to how this is a personal reference monitor and not something to use as like a main amplification source for a gig or rehearsal, and it's certainly not something to mic up. So let's go ahead and mic it up, head to head with my Tone King Imperial. I'm choosing this amp specifically because it has a 12-inch speaker, and it should sound closest to what we're hearing with the Kemper cabinet. For the profile, I'm going to use my Tone Thing Imperial pack, and I'm going to try and tone match as closely as possible. I do want to clarify that this is just for reference. I do think it's going to sound a bit different given that the Kemper sound is the sound of a mic'd cabinet, and we're effectively re-micing that sound. Regardless, this should be a fun experiment. I'm splitting my signal and giving you the close mic'd amp sound, the close mic'd Kemper cabinet sound, and then the direct Kemper signal. Let's give it a go. I also wanted to give an idea of its room sound, more akin to what Kemper wants you to use the cabinet for, I guess. I'm going to use this stereo Townsend microphone to work as a room mic, and you can hear the difference between a Kemper cabinet and a real tube amplifier. The Kemper Power Cabinet has a Kemper cone inside of it, which is a full-range Celestion speaker designed for Kemper to use what they call Imprint to emulate different speakers' sounds. I'll admit a mistake I made in thinking that the Kemper cone would take what I saw as a direct signal and work more like an impulse response, where effectively it would process that nasty-sounding guitar signal, give it more of a speaker growl. But it's a lot different than that, arguably more useful for getting a different sound if a tone sounds harsh or needs a bit of livening. Instead of reaching for an EQ, you could try a different speaker imprint. However, these imprints don't affect the main outputs. If you record the output of the monitor out, the imprints will be a part of that signal, but I don't think Kemper wants you to do that. Regardless, I think they sound pretty good and provide enough of a difference to notice. Here are a few of my favorites. So it does sound like there's a notable difference between the power cabinet and the actual amplifier, and also with the direct profiles, as given considering that we've basically got another miking stage involved in this demo. Hopefully the room microphone provided a little bit more context as to what I'm experiencing when I'm playing, because really, the amplifier does fill up the room in a similar way to a real amplifier. I personally am very satisfied with how it sounds. I think it's a beautiful marriage between the Kemper cone and its power amp section, which is an Ice Power 300 AS. It's a Class D amplifier, which basically means it's a solid-state digital style amplifier. There's a lot of technical jargon you can read online if you want to about the difference between Class A, Class AB, Class D. Overall, I think it sounds good. I think it sounds really good considering they're basically reproducing mic'd signals. I think the Imprint technology is smart. I think it's nice that you can use it as a full-range speaker as well. Yeah, really no complaints. So in closing, I'm actually really happy I got this. From messing around with it for the last few days, I feel like it's rounded out the Kemper experience so much for me, especially being at home for the last few months. A few things I want to mention in regards to the product as a whole. The volume is probably not as loud as you think it is. With the Kemper output maxed in the globals and the cabinet turned up all the way, it's no louder than a Blues Junior. Even though it's 200 watts, you've got to remember it's more of a PA than it is an amplifier. It's designed to stay clean throughout its range and not break up in the slightest, and the 200 watt allotment is actually used up quite easily when a fairly dynamic clean profile is being used. From what I read from Kemper, clean tones can really spike the power consumption when the volume peaks. People have been mentioning that the cabinet seems flimsy, and I would neither agree nor disagree with that. It's definitely no Marshall 412 that sees 300 days of road time, but it's sleek and clean with leather-covered corners, quality Tolex and grill cloth. The knob has a pleasant drag to it. There's a backlit LED button. It comes with a nice cover. I will say I wish the handle was a bit thicker, as I worry about it breaking over time. The cabinet is very light though, thankfully. I do want to make mention of something people had quite a few questions about, and that is how it works with bass. I've never owned a bass amp, but I'm familiar enough with the intricacies of them. That being said, I don't feel like I'm qualified to give an overall review for it for the bass. I'll tell you this though. It's more than I expected. Alright, so with that, I'll finish up the video. Let me know in the comments if you got one. Do you like it? Does anyone have two? I would get two. If you wanted to pick up that Tone Thing Imperial pack or any of the other packs, let's keep that code POWERED running for the next 2 weeks. 50% off any pack, and I have some free samples on my site too. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.